games tonight, and the Lakers and the Wolves. So going into this game with so much drama surrounding Minnesota, Jaden McDaniels punching a freaking wall or something, fracturing his hand, and then you had the Rudy Gobert punch on Kyle Anderson, suspended him from this game. That was a team decision, and like many people predicted, I think it ended up being a good decision, one that helped them. I was anti it. I thought, you got to play him. It's win or go home kind of scenarios. If you lose 2 games, you're out. And I thought that if Kyle Anderson and Rudy are over it, you just got to keep, just fuck it, forget about it. It happens. You play. But they wanted to send a message to control your emotions. And honestly, with Karl-Anthony Towns at the 5 spot where he, began his career and has played his whole career, I think it actually did some beneficial things to the Wolves because they're able to now spread the Laker defense out. And Anthony Davis, guarding Cat, that was a great matchup in this game, back and forth, 2 number 1 picks from Kentucky. I think Cat, this is what makes him the most, I think tonight is a perfect example of why Karl-Anthony Towns is the most frustrating player in the NBA, because he has moments like that first quarter, like the first half, where he's just dominant. He's demanding double teams. He's catching the ball in the mid post. He's not settling as much. And then there are other times, like at the end of the game, where he's not assertive. He'll get small guys switched onto him and want to face up. I mean, it's just ridiculous sometimes, man. To me, he has such a low basketball IQ for a star, and it just came out in this game, but not in the beginning. And by the way, I want to say to everybody, you got to check out my latest video on the Dallas Mavericks collapse this season with SJ and Bibbs, 2 Mavs fans that have Mavs podcasts. They gave an in-depth breakdown about everything that went wrong with Dallas, and I timestamped it. So you know every single category. If you don't want to listen to the whole thing and you just want to know what happened at certain points of the season, timestamp that for you. And I'm going to be having playoff previews, multiple, at least one released every single day leading up to Saturday. So be on this channel ready. You're going to get I don't think you're going to get much better content anywhere else. Definitely not on ESPN or Fox, because I'm getting authentic fans from their team to come talk. And I'm really going into my bag for this one. Already got some for the Mavs. Tomorrow is going to be Knicks and Cavs preview. You can already expect you're going to see some fireworks on that one. But let's get right back into tonight. Minnesota started with Mike Conley, Slow-Mo, the great Kyle Anderson, of course, Karl-Anthony Towns, Taurean Prince, and the Ant-Man. So Taurean Prince and Kyle Anderson starting in place of McDaniels and Rudy Gobert. Lakers with the starting lineup that they've been running throughout the end of the season. That is Austin Reeves, D'Lo, LeBron, Jared Vanderbilt, and Anthony Davis. And the Lakers got off to a cold start offensively. LeBron was 0 for 3 on his jump shots. D'Lo took 2 ill-advised shots, in my opinion. And, you know, D'Lo is a tough shot maker, right? But sometimes you can just kind of tell when contested jumpers are right for certain guys and when they're not. And that all depends on rhythm, game flow, the possession. And D'Lo, the 2 shots that he took, I thought could have been passed up. That he started the first 2 shots that he missed. And in the first quarter, the only thing keeping the Lakers kind of afloat was Anthony Davis. He was 3 for 6. He was active on the offensive glass, getting rebounds over Karl-Anthony Towns and just, you know, making his presence felt. But Karl-Anthony Towns, one thing I really liked about the way he approached the first quarter, 2 buckets in the mid-post. Again, I'm always in favor of centers catching the ball in the mid-post area or in the post, not just dilly-dallying at the top. All you fucking young fans, the Gen Z, the modern fan, they love these big men that shoot a bunch of jump shots. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty and you do that bullshit against guys that are smaller than you, you look like a fool and you are hurting your team, just like Karl-Anthony Towns tonight. So miss me with that shit. I'd rather have a Patrick Ewing. Okay, and by the way, most of these centers in the past that were good could shoot mid-ranges. So for all those people that say that these centers couldn't shoot, total bullshit. I can name like 6, 7 role-playing centers in the 60s that could shoot. So just because the 2000s had a different archetype doesn't mean that was accurate of the whole history of the NBA centers. So just want to make that clear. Basketball conviction. Take advantage of your size. And that's what he was doing in the beginning. He had 2 buckets in the mid-post, one over AD, one over Rui Hachimura, and then another time where he had Malik Beasley on him. I wasn't a huge fan of his approach, 18 feet away, ripped through like he was a guard, but he got by him and was able to, you know, bully him a little bit and score. He was off to a great start, and a guy that was just absolutely on fire. He's a Clipper killer, but tonight he was an LA killer, Mike Conley. He was not hitting rim on his threes. And this game kind of reminded me, at least in the first half for Minnesota, of that Knicks game that I watched a couple of weeks ago the Wolves just could not miss, mainly Taurean Prince and Mike Conley from three. And that was what was happening in this game. And I got to, schematically explain what was happening with why the Lakers are struggling so much defensively, because the Lakers have been one of the better defensive teams in the league since the trade deadline, since they brought in Jared Vanderbilt and Rui Hachimura and those guys. But what was happening was Karl Anthony Towns isn't a pick and roll big. He's a pick and pop big. So AD, who has been absolutely out of his mind, not even out of his mind, just he's so good in drop coverage, right? He does a great job of playing the ball handler and the rollers, so you don't really have to sink and rotate. He lets you kind of play the 2-on-2 game because he can guard two at once. Now, with Anthony Edwards, with Mike Conley, who can get in the lane and make plays, AD needs to step up. That leaves Karl Anthony Towns open for three in those pick and pops. And since the Lakers wanted to take that away, they would have their rotations crisp, usually leaving Kyle Anderson open. So they were leaving Kyle Anderson open a good amount. And slow-mo, for the most part, he knocked down some shots early, 2 for 5 from three overall in the game. So 40% from three is, as the Wolves coaching staff and fan base, you're going to take that from Kyle. And with Karl Anthony Towns getting, guys switched onto him through rotation and all that, he was starting to take advantage. So when Cal was getting most of his success, it was not with AD guarding him. So because he kind of spread the Lakers defense out, that made it harder. And also, I thought in the first half, LeBron had shown me that he was more engaged defensively in this game, which I'd hope he'd be, than throughout the season where he's been poor defensively in my eyes. But he had some good plays defensively in the first half, like anticipating passes. There was 1 or 2 steals he got, a couple of times where he had some decent rotations, but there were other times where he totally fell asleep roaming. He had 5 points scored on him. One of them was a nice 3 by Mike Conley, but the other one, Kyle Anderson, it was classic LeBron defense where he forces you to his left, even though he's just standing up straight. He's not really bending his knees or moving his feet like that. He's letting you go left, but if you go with your right hand, he'll stuff you. He knows the weaknesses of NBA players in this era. He knows people aren't going to go to their left and stop on a dime much. That's why if you go back and watch, he's done that for a long time, by the way. He sometimes will let guys get the step and he'll swat them off the glass. But a big counter to guarding LeBron, because sometimes he's fairly disciplined when it comes to shot fakes. If you go to your left and just stop on a dime the way Kyle did there, go back and watch the 2008 playoffs, game 5 and 7 against Boston. Pierce, did that to death with him. He couldn't do anything. And LeBron played good defense on Pierce in that series, actually. But in my opinion, it was just that shots that Pierce always makes just didn't fall until the end. But LeBron's defense in the first half, not so great. Anthony Davis's defense, also not so great, not because he was playing bad defense, but just because the way the Wolves were playing was not letting him dominate and drop coverage like he usually does. And I was surprised, honestly, that the Lakers weren't switching that action because of that. They waited a while to switch. And I'm going to mention something that really stuck out to me. But I also want to say, Karl Anthony Towns' passing when he was starting to garner double teams and garner attention on the drive, he has 2 over-the-head passes to Nickeil Alexander-Walker that were, I want to say, Sabonis-esque. And the Wolves led the Lakers 28-22 after 1. The Lakers played a 10-man rotation, but it was really a 9-man rotation. And when they went to the bench, obviously they're going to stagger AD and LeBron. But in that second quarter, they went with a lineup with Reeves, D'Lo, and LeBron all on the bench at once. And I think that is a no-no for this Memphis series. You have to have 2 of those 4 players in at once, in my opinion, because, you basically threw out LeBron with Rui, Troy Brown, Dennis Schroeder, and who was the other guy they played? Malik Beasley. So you're basically having Rui Hachimura play the 5. And because the Wolves were so shorthanded at that position, they played this Nathan Knight character for 2 minutes. But other than that, they played an 8-man rotation. And it was really, the starters all played over 40 minutes for Minnesota. So they really leaned into the starters. Every single one playing over 40 minutes is it's not crazy, but it makes sense given that they were shorthanded in this game. But that I don't think that's a good look for the Lakers personally. It becomes very dependent on LeBron and Anthony Davis to do things. And Dennis Schroeder, he didn't really have it going yet in the first half. And again, in both halves, I really think that Jared Vanderbilt is underutilized. I feel like he's the Terrence Mann for Darvin Ham. Dennis Schroeder is the I don't want to call him the Reggie Jackson, the Marcus Morris, because Dennis Schroeder actually has done positive things on the court and does, I mean, look no further than the second half tonight. But I think just because I'm such a defense first guy, you're listening to a defense first guy talk. So of course I'm going to say more Vanderbilt minutes, but there's a clear issue with him on the floor offensively that the teams don't guard him. I think he can exploit teams on the offensive glass though in that way. And I also don't think he's been as bad actually shooting the three percentage wise, lately to end the season. But in this game, he only shot one time from three. So, like, I don't know. His plus minus doesn't look very good. So you let me know, Laker fans, if you agree with that take. Again, I want you to comment in the video, comment on the chat, whatever you think. But I don't know, man. I think Jared Vanderbilt disrupts things defensively, and the Lakers looked weak at the point of attack tonight. Like Austin Reeves, he did not have a very good game. He had a good stretch in that second quarter. So, like, perfect segue. When the Lakers came back in, the starters with Reeves, with Vando, with D'Lo, with AD and LeBron, they started turning up. LeBron had a slow start, but he got going by getting to the rim, whether it be transition or just cross-matched. I think LeBron the last 2 years has done a better job of taking advantage of like broken plays and, cutting to the basket a little bit more than he did in the first 3 years he was here really, and just finding ways to get those gritty, dirty points, putbacks or whatnot, even when his shot's not falling. And that in turn gets him into rhythm. And then his jumper starts falling, which is exactly what you saw tonight. He's an experienced player, get to the line, get some easy buckets. Then he hit the mid-range in the drop coverage. Then he hit a three to end the first half. He had like 12 or 13, I think 12 points in the second quarter. So he started to get going. And AD, the one thing I didn't like was he only shot like 2 shots when he came back in the second quarter. The Lakers have to continue to keep him engaged, but he also, when he comes, I've been having this problem with him for 3 years since after the championship. When AD comes back in the game for his second stint in the first half, he needs to come back in and like be aggressive, not just, I just got back in the game. I'm going to let myself ease into it. Hell no, bro. This ain't the beginning of the game. You got to still dominate on the offensive end. I'm not concerned about him if you're a Laker fan, don't be concerned about his defense. It's the offense. But the Lakers trailed. I mean, what's funny is they actually took the lead. They took the lead in the second quarter, 47-46, and then the Wolves gained it back 51-49. And by the way, I want to say the Lakers tried Wenyen Gabriel for 2 minutes, but when Karl-Anthony Towns had anyone else besides Wenyen Gabriel on him in that second unit, he was cooking. He was cooking, and when Cat came out of the game, the Wolves were struggling a lot because Anthony Edwards, he just didn't come to play tonight. His jumper was off, and then he just stopped being aggressive. The one thing I'll give him, his defense was really good. Like all night, he was moving his feet. He's improved a lot on that end, using his length to deter guys at the rim. His help defense was sharp. He was super engaged at that end of the floor, but it was still not nearly good enough. And because Conley, Taurean Prince, Kyle Anderson, and Karl-Anthony Towns are all having such a good game, that's the only reason this game was close and didn't do nearly enough in a game without Gobert and McDaniels for them to even be in this game. But because the other guys played well, they got away with it. And I have to say, he's still defending, so it's not like he's doing nothing. But Cat was killing the lineup with Reeves, D'Lo, and AD out. And I thought somebody who just didn't give the Lakers anything and I think played a little too much, 17 minutes for him, was Troy Brown. Not hitting threes, missing wide open ones, not doing much defensively, just not doing much of anything, just missing shots to me. 1 for 5 from the field. I just didn't see much in there. And I don't think Troy Brown's that good. I've been saying that for a while. He's an average player in the NBA, of course. He's amazing in general. Every NBA player is for me, in my opinion. But he's not all that. And I think that Vando should definitely get more minutes. Like, sacrifice some Troy minutes for some more Vando. But starters come in, let the Lakers go from defense to offense, and that's when the crowd really started going. And I want to give a shout out to the Laker fans tonight. It sounded electric in there. I think the TNT mics, by the way, the last 4 or 5 years, I don't know what it is about Staples Center, but they've been doing the sound has been weird the last couple of years at Staples Center. I don't know what that is, but it sounds a little muffled at times, unless it's like really, really loud. And I think the Laker fans were awesome in this game. 10 years they've been waiting. And I got to say this about Laker fans, and I tweeted this because it's true. When I went to first round games 10 years ago, this is literally just being objective. They weren't nearly close to Clipper first round games because for us, it felt special. For the Lakers, it felt normal because Kobe would get them there every year. It doesn't get really lit till at least the conference finals. That was for the Lakers in the 2000s, in the early 2010s, because they had that standard. But now They missed their longest ever playoff drought, some of their worst seasons ever. And they missed COVID. It's been 10 years since they've gotten an atmosphere like that. And I'm going to be honest, I was at both those Laker games against the Spurs in 2013. There was nothing like that. And I was at the game. I don't think we've seen a Laker playoff game like that since 2012 Game 7 against the Nuggets, or maybe even one of those OKC games in 2012. But just seeing the Laker fans like that, I even though, I get on them and it's, the banter, Clippers, Lakers, I felt happy for them in that sense that they got to experience that again, because I always say it's more fun when LA is rocking, dude. It's an LA sports channel. It's an LA sports hub. All playoffs long, we've got you covered. Laker postgame, Clipper postgame, Kings reaction, Clipper vlogs, Kings vlogs, if I can get a ticket. It's going to be amazing. And I'm going to be posting updates at all times, man. It's the LA sports hub. LA against the world. You hate us. You hate us. What's the saying? You hate us because you ain't us. You with us, you against us. Fuck everybody else. LA versus the world. Gangway. But anyway, yeah, Laker crowd was good getting into it. But the Lakers, they ended the first half terribly. 3 turnovers to close. They didn't score for the last 2 minutes. Mike Conley was incredible. Kyle Anderson was amazing. And the amount of steals that the Wolves were getting, mainly Conley and Kyle Anderson getting deflections, so many hands on loose balls, stripping guys. In Kyle Anderson's case, he's just got amazing hands, like long arms. He blocks shots. He gets steals. Am I surprised? Fuck no. That's my second favorite college player of all time, Kyle Anderson, who was amazing when the UCLA Bruins won the Pac-12 tournament in 2014, the last time they won. There's nothing like slow-mo, and I'm so happy for him and the impact that he's made at the NBA level, but also something to watch. First half, AD battling with Kyle, got a little shoulder stinger. Just keep an eye on that. He was grimacing a little bit at times in the game. But I want to also say this before we go to the second half. Austin Reeves, his only good stretch in the game to me was that second quarter. And I like Austin Reeves a lot. He had that and one. He had MVP chance for a second, but he didn't have a great game. I thought he kind of struggled defensively and was bodied a little bit. And offensively, he got a lot of good looks from 3, and he just couldn't hit. He was 4 for 13 in the game, 1 for 5 from deep, 12.6 rebounds, 3 assists, also 3 turnovers, though, for Reeves. The Lakers turned the ball over 20 times, but thankfully the Wolves also turned the ball over 20 times, so it evened out. Second half, I thought the Lakers clearly stepped up defensively, and I noticed a change in strategy. Anthony Davis was hedging the screens hard beyond the three-point line. So what their objective was, let's take away the pick and pop look for Cat. If you're going to get the ball to Cat, you have to throw it over the top, and it has to be a good pass. With that pass going over the top, that gives the Lakers more time to rotate, but it was causing the biggest problem in today's NBA when doing that, as opposed to back in the day, the spacing. Now you're playing 4-on-3, having to cover all that ground. That's where Mike Conley was splashing threes from everywhere. But at least it was taking the ball away from Karl Anthony Towns. And Karl Anthony Towns started doing the same bullshit we saw last year against Memphis, getting in foul trouble. He had 4 fouls. But that being said, Kyle Anderson, Mike Conley, these guys were hitting shots, Taurean Prince too, and the Wolves went up 15. Even though I thought LeBron's effort was better, better one-on-one. AD was starting to affect shots around the rim. D'Lo, though, was still having a tough game. I mean, he couldn't get anything going. And I'm not going to lie, it was a bad look for Conley to outplay D'Lo like that in a game like this. Makes the Wolves front office probably feel a little bit vindicated. But Lakers go down 15 after a Kyle Anderson corner 3 with 6 minutes left in the third quarter, and they call timeout. Mike Conley is unconscious at this point, but slowly the Lakers started making a push. I think it begins with Dennis Schroeder making some shots, LeBron making some shots, but it was really Cat coming out of the game and Anthony Edwards not having it. They really struggled with Cat out of the game. They just could not generate offense enough. And Anthony Edwards, I mean, I expect so much more of him. He was so not aggressive, just dribbling way too much. He didn't seem to know how to deal with the load up like that. I mean, he made some good passes, but very disappointed. There was no in-between game for Ant. None. And I'm disappointed in him because I really like the guy. At least he was guarding, though. But in the second half, you saw no Wenyen Gabriel. So what the Lakers did now is they're going small with Rui at the 5 again, but with Karl Anthony Towns out and the Wolves going with Kyle Anderson at the 5, now you can play small with small. And by the way, so I'm going to keep saying this because now that we're in the playoffs, I can just keep talking my shit. All you people that want to talk about bigger, faster, stronger with today's NBA are fucking blind. You're not looking at the game. Maybe you can say faster because, yeah, the speed of the game has picked up since the 2000s, but bigger and stronger? You're telling me with these pipsqueak ass lineups that it's bigger and stronger? Some of these lineups would have been laughed off the floor 10 years, 5 years, or 6, 7 years ago. Are you crazy? Kyle Anderson at the 5? Bruh, don't even get me started with that shit. The narratives that people are so brainwashed, I swear to God. And I'm gonna lay into some of the IQ shit at the end of this game. Don't worry. I've been so generous, guys, like about the modern NBA this year. Like everybody calls it hating. I call it being realistic and knowing how to apply context in different eras because y'all not watching the tape like me. Okay? I'm not saying one era is better than the other, but there are serious flaws with this shit. And y'all want to overlook every single one of them because it's the new thing and everything gets better with time. Like, suck my dick, dude. But anyway, let's continue. The Lakers make a little bit of a push. A little bit is an understatement. Actually, no, it's not. Make a little bit of a push. In the last 3 minutes and 41 seconds of the third quarter, Rui at the 5 versus Kyle Anderson at the 5. I want to say this, man, and it like really pains me to say it. But the last 2 times I've seen my favorite college player of all time, Jordan McLaughlin, against the Lakers, he's looked like he hasn't belonged on an NBA floor. Like all the criticism that people said about J-Mac and USC, he's too small. His jumper's not good enough. All that stuff like it was coming true. His confidence is low and he has to make those open shots. If they're not going to let him, because the thing is, in the first half, he was not bad defensively at all. He was actually getting into players' airspace. He was contesting. He made some really good passes to open guys. But he needs to make those open shots or else his confidence is going to wane, and then they're going to go at him defensively and actually just play him off the floor. That's exactly what happened. So Conley had to come back in early. That's my guy. Like, I just feel such a common, like, play style with J-Mac, like as a smaller guard, I just related to him so much. That's my guy. So it's especially with how much family he probably had in the building. It's just, there was a couple of times he went to the basket and LeBron and AD just swatted him like he was a little kid. But J-Mac, I'm hoping you bounce back against the Pels, dude. I really do, because right now the Wolves are thin. He only played, 10 minutes, 0 points. He was a -10. He was 0 for 5. So I don't like, you don't like seeing that. Jalen Noel, 9 points on 4 of 7 shooting. He wasn't bad, actually. He gave him a boost, but it was a starter-heavy game. The Lakers outscored the Wolves 30-26 after 3, which took us into a fourth quarter where the Wolves were up by 7. A fourth quarter where the Wolves were up by 7, but the Lakers were gaining in momentum. Karl Anthony Towns came in. Mind you, he had 4 fouls and got a 5th foul like a dumbass. Listen, man. Karl Anthony Towns, he doesn't seem to learn. He acts like he's not in foul trouble at all. That was a clear loose ball foul. AD, did a little swim move, got around him, and then Karl Anthony Towns pushed his shoulder down with his arm. So clear in front of the refs. Like, his basketball, and then he makes that smile like he didn't do anything wrong. Like, oh my God, I don't know about that one. Like, dude, are you kidding me? I don't know. He's ridiculous. And considering how big of a game, like, I don't want to say how big of a game it was, but with how much weight he was carrying in this game. And in the fourth quarter, only 31 points were scored total in the game. Now, of course, that was better defense. And by the way, this was such a poorly officiated game. The Hawks Heat game, I thought the officiating was great. Like, I'm going to get into that game. I thought the officiating was great. But this game, the officiating was dog shit. They were letting them play so much, and then they randomly called these weird fouls. And in my opinion, it was once, even the stats will disagree, but to me, it was really one-sided against the Lakers, dude. At times, it was egregious. I thought they were so much more aggressive going to the basket, and they still were getting really weird calls against them. But, by the way, shout out to everybody in the live chat. 50 people in here. I'm going live a little bit earlier tonight because I've been going live way too late. I'm happy to see everybody in here. Super chats are turned on if you want to drop $1 or a dime. Every donation counts. Always helps me get better equipment. Now we got a gaming chair. We got StreamYard in 1080p. We got the Laker background green screen. You already know what it is, man. Super chats are turned on if you want to drop $1 or a dime, but I really appreciate the love as always. This playoff's going to be huge. Let's see if can we get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the postseason? Can we, by the end of the season, get to 5,000? We just got to 4,000. That's my year goal. If we can get there before the end of the season, going into the summer, we're going to have so many guests on. And I'm actually going to come through with that. Woo, we're cooking. But fourth quarter, AD was starting to cook on both ends. But my problem with it is it's all in the roll. It's all in the pick and roll or on broken plays or on offensive rebounds. AD is not a role player, no pun intended. He needs to get the ball. He was drawing double teams in the first half. Get the ball. Demand it. You're supposed to be the best player on this team now. LeBron cannot be doing all that every single night against Memphis. He can't. They're too young. They're going to run a lot. And look, yes, the game slows down in the playoffs. They're going to run a lot, though. They're going to run a lot. AD needs to dominate. He needs to dominate offensively. He can't. The Lakers got very lucky tonight, too. Very lucky. You know, this Memphis team is a lot better. Even without not Xavier Tillman. Even without Steven Adams and Brandon Clark, that Grizzlies team is much better than Minnesota. So AD needs to dominate, not just on the score on the roll so much. Fourth quarter, you saw Lakers switching more, going with Dennis Schroeder as their smallest guy, but you didn't see Troy Brown anymore. You didn't see D'Angelo Russell anymore. No Malik Beasley. So Lakers are switching a lot. And Karl Anthony Towns, you know, another big problem with him is when he has smaller guys on him, you saw it against Vando tonight, he oftentimes feels like he needs to stiff arm guys to create space and separation, even though he's so much bigger. That's a skill flaw, by the way. You shouldn't have to do all that. And that's also, I think, made him hesitant at the end of the game because he's afraid he's going to get an offensive foul. That's why he settles and faces up against 6'4" dudes. I mean, that's ridiculous. Austin Reeves was switching on to Karl Anthony Towns. And I love that the Charles Barkley and Shaq after the game were grilling his shit. Because how long are we going to see this 7-foot guy who we saw dominate with jump hooks at Kentucky do this bullshit? Because you can literally be not that far behind Embiid and Jokic. You really could average 30 a night. I swear. You're so talented. But you're stupid as an NBA star. Like, I'm not being mean. You are not a smart basketball player, Karl Anthony Towns, for an NBA player, for a star player in this league. Doing that dumb shit. Austin Reeves, 6'4", decent laterally. You want to play against him 18 feet away facing up? Okay. It's so much easier to load up, too. Especially when you got guys like Anthony Davis and LeBron out there covering ground. But also the adjustment defensively for the Wolves was they were putting Kyle Anderson on AD and then having Karl Anthony Towns against Vanderbilt or Hachimura to be a weak side helper and then also keep him out of the foul game. So that was an adjustment that Finch made. So, yes, I think Vando should play more. AD, by the way, played the whole fourth quarter. LeBron played the last 7 minutes and 35 seconds. And Ham went with a little bit of an interesting strategy of defense-offense, Hachimura and Vando. And one thing that I found interesting about Ham's strategy in this game was the Anderson-Edwards pick and roll. He wasn't switching. And I remember one time in the third quarter, LeBron dropped. I don't think he knew if he was dropping or if he was, blitzing. But Kyle Anderson scored his second push shot in that short roll. And LeBron looks at Darvin Ham like, dude, what? I think what he was saying in that moment was we should switch that because Vando and I were big. We can switch. And Darvin Ham made a come together sign. Like, I think he wanted more pressure. You got to meet, come up harder and show harder on that screen. So that pass isn't as easy. I agree with LeBron on that if that's what he was advocating for, which I assume. They can switch the wing pick and roll. So that's what I got to say about that. But anyway, the game comes down to the nitty-gritty, 95-90. I still felt the whole way that the Lakers were going to win just because it means a lot when you have the two best players on the court. And they did because Anthony Edwards, he's not better than LeBron and AD. And he can be better than them on a given night. Tonight wasn't that night. He wasn't doing shit. AD put the ball in from around the key. Everything was like a layup or something. Made it 95-92. Then LeBron hits a three to tie the game. Big shot by Braun. And then coming back the other way. And by the way, I think LeBron's defense in the second half was much better. I think you saw much better effort than you saw in, obviously, the season. He comes back down with a tie game. Karl Anthony Towns has 5 fouls and is now switched on to LeBron. And LeBron settles for 3. That was a complete momentum fiender. Highest basketball IQ ever, though, y'all tell me. The only excuse you can make is that he was tired after shooting that 3. And he didn't want to go to the rim. Because that was just a momentum fiending shot. And I get it. I know LeBron's game as well as anybody. I always say I have a PhD in Bron. When he shoots a 3 and makes it, he almost always will look to shoot that next one to see how hot he can get, which is normal. I back that strategy. But with Karl Anthony Towns with 5 fouls, you get him that 6th foul. That game is not even going to OT to me. But maybe I'm wrong. I still think it's a bad decision. He misses the three. They get lucky. We'll get another chance. He misses a clear-cut bank shot. That's not really his shot, though, going right, bank shot mid-range, but he misses. And then, oh my goodness, this was interesting. Kyle Anderson, I'm sorry. LeBron also turns the ball over late. He almost sold after that three. Taurean Prince got a steal on the inbounds, and LeBron took his legs out. I thought for a second it was a loose ball, play on. People say, LeBron took his legs out. To me, he dove and he hit his legs. I don't know, man. To me, it's play ball. Just play ball. Shit happens. Sometimes things risk injury. I don't know, man. That's just me, though. Whatever. Anyway, last play of the game. I'm thinking to myself, 95 all. Get the ball to AD. He's done a good job closing games this season. Dallas on the road, Indiana on the road. Get him the ball. LeBron's bricking. I see LeBron hold the ball at the top. Okay, here we go. I see them set a screen. I'm wondering who they're trying to put into action. And this is crazy to me. And it just shows Darvin Ham's trust in Schroeder. He drew up the play for a Dennis Schroeder left corner three. And LeBron, this was not like the normal pick and pop where they show he gives up the ball willingly and then, they shoot an open three where the defense wants him to pass. This was, he got 2 feet in the paint, found somebody wide open. He had no shot there. He made the right play here without debate. And it's not because he made the shot that it's no debate. It's just because I think the process of it. He drew the defense in, made a good pass. Dennis Schroeder looked like he had made a game winner in a postseason game for the Lakers. That would have gone down in, not really. Laker history is so rich that it wouldn't have been really that crazy to remember, but good moment for his career. And it was ruined by AD fouling. Now, listen, on that three, I'm okay with the landing space fouls because it is dangerous. But when you, as the offensive player, get 2 feet on the ground without it being touched, when you get 2 feet planted on the ground without interference from the defender closing out, it should not be a foul to me. I don't care if you lose your balance after the shot, after you land. I don't give a shit. I don't think that should be a foul. From the replay, I didn't see super, super close slow-mo. It looked like maybe their toes touched. First of all, Conley hitting a three with AD closing out with 1 second on the clock, that was far-fetched anyway. To me, I'm a big proponent of at the end of the game's last possession, you only call it if it's blatant. To me, that was not, and it was just too much officiating trying to interfere with the game to me. Honest to God, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. You can disagree. Overtime, though, the adrenaline, the momentum was too much. The Lakers began with Rui Hachimura hitting a big three, and I want to give Rui Hachimura a big shout-out. Defensively, he has really stepped it up lately. Especially one-on-one. He had a couple of nice stops, moving his feet, just contesting, staying strong in this game. And with him hitting a three, Dennis Schroeder putting the Lakers up 5. I think the big play that ended the game was not really even a Laker play. Taurean Prince, he got a steal again. Or was it Conley? I think Conley got the steal on a D'Lo inbounds. And by the way, D'Lo was completely gone away from him in this game. It was crazy. I consider him the third. I said he was the third best player on this team, but Darvin Ham, he loves Schroeder, and Schroeder came through for him, but I don't know if it's always going to work out that way. And I think Dennis has had a lot of great games, ending games this season for the Lakers, but sometimes he just plays a lot for me. And in this game, it was fine. But Taurean Prince misses a three that could have tied the game. And then at that point, the Lakers are playing the foul game. AD had a bucket late. But I think Minnesota, just like against Memphis last year, they lost it. You had Austin Reeves on a switch multiple times, and Cat's not even going to post up. He's not even demanding the ball. Anthony Edwards, he's not even attacking the basket. He's settling so much. He's not attacking coming off those curls. It was just whack. It was just whack. Let's read the lines. The Minnesota Timberwolves blow it, and that's what happens when you have the 2 best players on the court. Minnesota loses 102 to 108. The Lakers outscore them 10-4 in overtime and get a comeback win. They trailed by as many as 15. Come back and win the game by 6, which was actually their largest lead of the game. The Wolves shot 43% from the field. The Lakers only shot 41%. The Wolves shot 39% from 3, though, 16 for 41. The Lakers only 32%, 10 for 31. But the Lakers, who have been terrible shooting the ball from the foul line of late, were 92% tonight from the line. That was huge. 22 for 24. The only person that missed was AD, who missed 2 out of his 6 free throws. The Wolves were 14 for 15 from the line, the only miss coming from Anthony Edwards. Let's read the lines. I already read Jalen Noel, J-Mac, Knight. The highest played bench player for the Wolves was Nickeil Alexander-Walker. 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists on 4 of 5 shooting in 23 minutes. I thought he was good, actually, but I respect the decision to play the starters so much. Taurean Prince played 43 minutes. Thought he was exceptionally good in this game. 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 steals. Did a pretty good job on LeBron. 5 for 11 from the field and an amazing 4 for 7 from 3 in 43 minutes. I thought he was really good. Kyle Anderson, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 13 assists, 4 steals, and 4 blocks. Are you kidding me? The only thing I have to say about Kyle was that turnover at the end was very costly. And towards the end of the game, I think he struggled a little bit. But I think he was, I mean, come on. Are you going to ask for more from Kyle than that? He was 5 for 14, though, so not good inside the arc. Considering he was 2 for 5 from 3, that means he was 3 for 9 from 2, so not great there. Mike Conley, he was amazing. 23 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals and a block. 7 for 11 from the field, 6 for 8 from 3, 3 for 3 from the line. All 3 of those free throws at the end. He just knew he was going to make them. He's just a clutch player in 44 minutes of play. Anthony Edwards, 9 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, 3 blocks. So did a little bit of everything else but score, and they needed him to score. 4 turnovers, 3 for 17 from the field, 0 for 9 from deep. And see, that's the thing with Ant. IQ, you're shooting that poorly, and you shot 9 threes out of 17 shot attempts when you're that athletic, dude. Do you not have a mid-range? That's a problem. The Lakers, off their bench, Malik Beasley, 5 points on 2 for 3 shooting, but defensively he doesn't do anything, and he doesn't do anything else. He has no intangibles. He's good off the ball though, and he's a good shooter. Troy Brown, 2 points, 1 for 5 from the field. Rui Hachimura, his stat line won't really show it, but he had a plus 20, plus minus. I thought he was really solid. 12 points, 3 for 8 from the field, 2 for 5 from deep, and 4 for 4 from the line. Dennis Schroeder, 21 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. It kind of all came out of nowhere with Dennis. 5 for 12 from the field, 3 for 4 from deep, and 8 for 8 from the line. So the 3-point percentage and the free throw percentage, absolutely huge for Dennis. He was a game high plus 22. It was just awesome. Oh, I forgot to read Karl Anthony Towns. 24 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocks. Amazing stats, but considering how well he was playing, he shouldn't be shooting only 12 shots. That's ridiculous. 66% from the field. Oh, it sounds great. Not enough shots. 2 for 4 from deep, 6 for 6 from the line. I don't give a shit how good your shooting splits are. You played 41 minutes, and you only shot 12 times. Not good enough. He was a plus 18. He was awesome. You know, won the game by 18 when he was on the court. Unfortunately, it really matters when he's on the court. So, Stars got to close, and the 2 best players on the court were on the purple and gold side. Austin Reeves, 12 points, 6 boards, 3 assists on 4 for 13 shooting and 1 for 5 from deep. Not a very good game for him. Vando had a donut on 0 for 2 shooting. In only 22 minutes, though, I still think he should play more. D'Lo, what a bad game for him. You know, the only thing I'll say is he still moves the ball well and still is a good passer because you got to respect his floater and his 3. 2 points, 3 boards, 8 assists, and only 1 turnover. So you'll take that. But 1 for 9 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3 in 24 minutes. Just didn't seem like he had that sense of urgency that he had in last year's playing game against us. And then the duo, the main guys. If I had to choose a player of the game in this one, I'm going to go with AD. I just think he battled really hard. LeBron, 30 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 5 turnovers. Needs to do a better job taking care of the ball. 12 for 21 from the field, though, for Bron. 3 for 6 from deep and 3 for 3 from the line. So, as always, LeBron keeping it extremely efficient. Played 45 minutes, though. That's a lot. And you can see he had his hands on his knees in overtime. Both AD and him were gassed. So, if you're the Grizzlies, you got to run. You got to push this pace and try to just get them tired and exhausted over a 7-game series. Anthony Davis, 24 points, 15 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. He also turned the ball over 5 times, but he was the highest plus-minus of any Lakers starter, plus 9, 43 minutes, 10 for 19 from the field. And one thing I love and continue to love about AD this year, only 1 3-point attempt. So I love the aggression. He was the player of the game for me, but he needs 30 in a game like that in overtime, not 24. He needs more. But now we're going to move on to the Atlanta Hawks and the Miami Heat. And I keep seeing the comments. What do I think of the Lakers Grizzlies series? Look, I'm going to be doing a playoff preview with a Laker fan. For the LA playoff previews, we're not going to have a fan from the opposing team because fuck them. This is the LA Sports Channel. We only looking at our side, baby. Fuck the rest, even the Lakers. But I'm going to just briefly, I'm not going to go in depth about it here, but I'm going to go with the Lakers in 7. Here's why I say 7. I don't think the Lakers are good enough to beat them in 6, even with the guys missing. I think that the Grizzlies' inexperience will show. They're going to have a cold game from 3, and the Lakers, with their experience, will show up in a game 7 in Memphis and win. But I think it's going to be the hard route. I don't think it'll be 6 games Lakers. And I think if Memphis wins, 7 games as well. But I think the Lakers will be favored as a 7 seed, which is weird. But I think people are totally underestimating Memphis. If they had Steven Adams and Brandon Clark, I would pick Grizzlies in 7. But they don't. So I'm going to go with Lakers in 7. I'm usually not the guy that picks teams to win on the road in game 7 because I think if you get to a game 7 on the road, you've already lost for the most part. You're kind of having to beat the odds. Not kind of. You have to beat major odds. But I just don't trust the Grizzlies without those 2 bigs and the Lakers in a slower half-court game. The Grizzlies, when their three's not falling and Jaw's not getting shots at the rim, they got nothing. So even though they got the second best defense in the league, I'm going with Lakers in 7. But I'm going to be talking about the Hawks and the Heat in just a second. Sorry, guys. Throat got dry. How we doing, man? Let's see the comments right now. I'm going to drink some water. My boy Jack Cop and Tour. My man. Lakers in 1. Appreciate seeing you, bro. Miss you, man. Steven Torres says Lakers in 6. Memphis got boneheads. Thank you, Steven. Dime knows his stuff. Apparently, when it's about Lakers being praised, it's Dime knows his stuff. When it's Clippers being praised, it's Dime's an idiot. So that just shows your bias, you cocksuckers. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights says AD sucks, yo. Chill. Showtime Nick says Dennis Schroeder definitely at least has a case for player of the game, at the very least, for what he did on both ends of the floor. Plum E says Jaw will send you home easy at G-Master Flex. Brody Rep said LeBron holds the ball way too long for the Lakers. Well, for the Lakers or in his career? Showtime Nick says we've talked about that on the channel since the beginning of this channel. We prefer how MJ and Kobe made their moves a lot quicker, not let the defense load up. That's true. G-Master Funkflex says Lakers played well. You beat the Wolves and needed OT. Jaw will send you home easy. Oh, that's why you said that. Showtime Nick says, speaking of guests, what do you think about having Robert Sampson on your show? If you want to have him on, I can ask him. Who the hell is Robert Sampson? Oh, is he Ralph Sampson's son? Hey, appreciate you, JHC213, Bucket Discussions. I think I subscribed to you or followed you on something. I think I did subscribe as well. Anyway, my boy Bonson says T-Wolves threw it away. I'll get this drink of water and then we'll talk about the Hawks because, yeah. Hudson, Man 87 says Braun goated, king. And Twain says Lakers in 5. We'll lose one game like we always do. Lakers in 5, bro? I think you're underestimating Memphis.